for an immigrant, they have that food skill, that food to share. That is their survival.
Hello and welcome to Holding Heritage. This is a space to explore and have honest conversations around the Asian North American experience. We'll focus on Canadian refugee stories, family, heritage, and bridging generational gaps. My name is Holly. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to another episode of Holding Heritage. This episode is produced in collaboration with the Immigrant Welcome Center's Welcoming Communities Coalition and the Comox Valley Record newspaper, which are both based in the beautiful Comox Valley on Vancouver Island. The goal of this series of interviews aims to learn more about and amplify the voices of newcomers in the Comox Valley who own businesses and create jobs in the community. We chat with them about their stories, successes, and challenges starting and running their businesses in the valley. The goal is to help dispel negative misconceptions about the impact of newcomers on the Canadian economy, to highlight diversity and underrepresented voices, and contribute to making our communities more welcoming for all. The Comox Valley Record is a popular and local news publication in the valley, serving the community for over 35 years since 1986. The Welcoming Communities Coalition is a local immigration partnership with the goal of making our communities more welcoming for newcomers. If you'd like to learn more about them and explore their services, events, or programs, I've linked all of their information in the episode show notes that you can view as always at holdingheritage.com. Today's episode is a bit of a special one in this series because we get to sit down with my mom, Tania Lee, and discuss her business, Gold Phoenix Asian Foods. If you've listened to episode 4, you may already know a few things about her, but perhaps something that you don't know is that she's got a lot of entrepreneurial experience starting and operating her own food business, sharing traditional Cantonese and Vietnamese food in the Comox Valley. And more recently, she's also began to teach cooking classes to share her knowledge and cultural roots. Christine Salzman from the Immigrant Welcome Center and I sat down with her one afternoon to deep dive into her journey. We started from the beginning, so for those of you who may not know, my mom was part of the Vietnamese boat people refugees. Her family fled North Vietnam in the late 1970s. They journeyed like hundreds of thousands of other refugees, fleeing in small, overcrowded, unsuitable boats towards Hong Kong, where they stayed in multiple refugee camps while they awaited sponsorship to a new country.
Finally, we get to Hong Kong, and we were very fortunate that we didn't live in a restricted camp for a very long time. We were able to go out and work. So and then when you work and you wait for all those countries that open to receive a refugee.
While in the refugee camps, families would have to apply to different countries and await acceptance. My mom's family consisted of herself, 4 of her other siblings, her mom, dad, and grandmother.
So my mom is a business person and my dad as well. And they have only known United States, America. We want to go to Hong Kong, and then my mom said, I want to go to America. But we didn't get accepted. And then Canada wants us. So we was sponsored by 9 families from Canada, and they all from Alberta. We came to Canada, Calgary.
How old were you?
I think I was 12 years old. Yes, we came to Canada in, I think, April of 81.
These 9 incredibly generous families that came together to sponsor her family to Canada were a part of a wonderful church group. A few of the families we still keep in touch with and were really the only pillars of support and encouragement my mom and her family had when arriving to Canada. To say that our family is thankful for their generosity is definitely an understatement.
We don't know what Canada is, but then we were happy to go anywhere that they accept us. And with 9 families, we were excited. So we work in Hong Kong. We buy every single thing from wok to chopstick to music, as much as we can bring to Canada. Just prepare for that we cannot have, lap chang or Chinese sausage or wok to cook. So anyway, my mom prepared everything. And we was welcomed by 9 of our family. We set our root in Calgary, and my mom and dad work really, really hard. So we need to start from where my mom and dad is, because they made it happen for us to come to Canada.
My mom grew up surrounded by entrepreneurship. Both her mom and dad had their own businesses and were constantly working hard towards supporting the family in every way that they could. It's no wonder why or where she got the entrepreneurial spirit herself. We chatted about what her parents did as careers back in Vietnam before fleeing the country.
My dad he's working in the herbalist industry, so he almost like a pharmacist, but herbalist, and my grandpa too. And my mom, she has her own business, making candy, food, and cookies, and things like that. Everything I influence is from knowing all these stories and watching my family move from place to place. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As you can imagine, arriving to a new country as refugees, having to leave everything you know behind, including your careers, it was daunting. My mom's parents took any jobs they could find as soon as they arrived to Calgary.
Right away when we came to Canada, she and my dad basically worked 2 jobs. So my dad, he was introduced to this small shop as a shoemaker. And amazingly, he loves them and they love him. He worked there for 40 years.
Wow.
Without changing jobs. My mom, she worked many different jobs. She worked in a hotel, room maintenance, and she also worked in restaurants. And they started working full-time and also at home. We started, because we're foodie people, we love food. So we're trying to make all the dishes that we missed. And so we make a lot of dishes, and then my mom ended up making the dish at home called bánh cuốn, the steam roll.
Bánh cuốn is a Vietnamese dish traditionally from the north. It's made from large, thin, delicate, and silky sheets of steamed rice batter, usually filled and rolled with layers of seasoned ground pork, minced wood ear mushrooms, and minced shallots. It's often served with Vietnamese herbs, fried onions, and a dipping sauce made of fish sauce. It's a light sort of rice and noodle roll-esque dish, and it's generally eaten for breakfast everywhere in Vietnam.
My mom would do this every Saturday and Sunday. And my dad would take in a shopping bag, 2 shopping bags, and take a bus to Chinatown in Calgary. Every Saturday, Sunday, my mom at 5 o'clock, she will make the roll, and then we as children will come down, we will package it.
Oh, okay.
And then my dad's the one that take to supermarket. And then we also make other things like jones, like this, the sticky rice. And I remember that.
The ones that get wrapped up with
wrap
the meat
it in
inside?
bamboo leaf. Yes, that one, yeah. I remember after 2 years, my mom and dad have enough money to purchase the first house, a duplex house.
So it was very much a family affair. Everyone in the house helped out, and it was also a way of finding and sharing some comfort from their home country in the form of food.
We're doing this, and then after we have moved to a bigger house, and then we all grow up, and then my sister, she's in textile. We stopped the rice rolling because my mom is such a good sewer too, and my sister, and we started renting bridal gown for people from our basement. So this has happened all from our basement, and then we certainly just open a bridal shop because there's so much demand. Asia, they have so many.
An Asian bridal shop compared to a Western, like how does it differ? How do the bridal customs?
Like Asian people, they are very elaborate. They like their dresses like with flower, lots of bling bling, lots of, vibrant red or purple, pink and oranges. So anyways, yeah. So
much more exciting.
That is, and
did you help them run it, or where were you at this point?
I think I was 17. I went to Hong Kong and I go into the manufacturer and I order and choose what I think it will go. Basically, my mom is at home. I'm the first one to do that. So 1989, so that's, I think I married at the end of that year. So I have all the gown that I want to wear. I wear so many because my mom so all my bridesmaids. I have 4 bridesmaids. All bridesmaids can wear whatever they want, and then tuxedo, and so that was I think that was a fun time for me.
So all throughout my mom's childhood and into her teen and early 20 years, she'd been subconsciously collecting and honing her own entrepreneurial skills and passions.
And when did you end up in the Comox Valley?
When I moved down here in the 1996.
96.
Yeah.
What brought you and your husband out to the island?
Because my husband, he come here and then he have friend here that have this opportunity for seafood industry, the shellfish farming here.
Oh, okay.
Digging clam and oyster. When I moved here, I enter into this program that the government have launched for small business people. And I represent to them and say, okay, I would like you to help me with this idea that I have. Mm-hmm. And that program, there's about 10 people. Everybody have different idea. And I thought, wow, this is so good. Like, I can do this. I want to do this because I see the opportunity. In that time, there's none of basically Vietnamese restaurant or any Chinese restaurant. I walked through the whole program. I walked the mall, the Driftwood Mall today, with my daughter, and I stand there for about 3 days, and I have my book consign me and say, would you like to see this and this? Would you like to see a Vietnamese restaurant here? What do you think about, have you ever had Vietnamese food? So I asked all the questions. And a lot of people were very supportive, but some people, they never have exposure to this Asian food or anything. They, not. But they supported what I want to do, just as my job. But which I did get signed about 100 people, and then I presented to the program. But then it turned out the program wrote to me and they said, well, sorry, we don't support restaurants.
Oh, no.
Because they think that running a restaurant is risky. I mean, at that time, I really don't think it that way. I just need some lift, you know.
Like an investment.
To start buying my equipment or renting a place. So which I get turned down from that. So what I do is I collect my equipment. So I buy a piece at a time. Mm-hmm. So I never stopped the dream. So I say, okay, fine. So that's why I went to work at RBC. So but I still inside me, this is passion that I want to do this because I see there is a need for this. In the valley.
So at that time, my mom was around 28 years old. She had 2 young kids, my older brother and I. My brother was around 6 years old and I was 3. After her business proposal was denied, she got a job at RBC, the Royal Bank of Canada, to support herself and the family, as well as continue working towards her business goals.
And when did you decide to start your own?
I found work with the Royal Bank, but then every weekend we were missing Chinese food or whatever food. We were raised to Vancouver. Every time we got a chance that my husband going delivery, we will hop on and we go out there and we will buy and we'll eat dim sum or eat whatever we miss, and we come back here again.
Yeah.
So and then as I work with the bank and I work part-time, but and then I start making food for my friend and for my coworker. Mm-hmm. And that's how it started. And then I say, okay, one day I say, well, I'll quit my RBC job and I stay home and look after my children because I don't have any babysitter. And then I start the kitchen downstairs in my rented home. Yeah, so the home base. So I say, okay, I'll just shrink the size, and then I talk to the island health, and then he'll come and he'll look at my kitchen. So thankful because I'm renting. And then he came and he's so helpful to me, and he said, well, I told him what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So he told me what I need as a home base for Food Save. So I went and take a Food Save program, and that's how I started. And I started making rolls.
It's really interesting to hear my mom's perspective on this time of her life, because for me, throughout those years, I remember her building and working in this kitchen she had in the basement of our childhood home. But at that time, of course, I was so young that I couldn't fully grasp what she was actually doing. She began by making Vietnamese salad rolls. She would prep and hand roll hundreds of them every morning, waking up at ungodly hours to get it done. I can still remember the smell of all the freshly made noodles in the kitchen each morning, the vision of her meticulously hand rolling, packaging, and loading the car so systematically. All of this before even driving my brother and I to school.
Every day I go. So how my day is prepping at the night before and going downstairs, and we'll work in the morning, finish all my packaging by 8 o'clock, take my kid to school, load up all my roll, and then after I drop my children off, I will do and go and deliver it. Yeah, so that was a long time. So I get all my customer by just word of mouth from work And then I market myself. I will go to store, cafe, restaurant, grocery store, and I market my own. And I say, okay, I'm going to sell this to you. And in that time, I take no money. I say, I will give you the product. You just have to sell it. When you sell it, then I'll collect the money.
All the while she was hustling and working from the at-home kitchen, she was growing Gold Phoenix Asian Foods as much as she could. On her own, she would deliver and provide to over 25 stores and restaurants around the island, including multiple locations of Quality Foods grocery stores, Crown Isle Gulf Resort Restaurant, Mount Washington Alpine Resort, the Kingfisher Oceanside Resort and Spa, as well as many smaller local stores and restaurants like Courtney's Butcher's Block, Fluid Bar and Grill, Edible Island, Discovery Foods, and even local stores on nearby islands like Denman and Hornby Island, Quadra Island, the list goes on. She was able to expand into offering traditional Chinese dim sum foods like hagao, siu mai, siu long bao, steamed pork buns, sticky rice, and much more. She began selling her items wholesale as well, even her signature sauces in large jugs by the liter. All of these connections she made within the community with these local establishments were the result of her incredible hard work and perseverance in putting herself and her business out there, especially being one offering quite a different culture of food than was the norm in the Valley. Although she encountered quite a few challenges when it came to selling more unfamiliar foods and flavors, the amount of people that supported her and were willing to take her on far surpassed the rejections.
Example, so I went to Quality Food here. Quality Food has 11 stores in the island, which I was very fortunate. I went to the one in Comox and I met this girl, Natalie. She was a young girl and she's a manager, and I show it to her and she right away, and she say, Tania, bring it on. Don't need to talk, just bring it on. So that was great for me. But some store I bring it in, it is a challenge at those times.
After expanding far past a comfortably manageable point, she got an opportunity to finally try her long-awaited dream of opening her own restaurant.
I was making at home, I'm making too much, so I cannot expand until I cannot expand no more.
Yeah, on your own,
So and then
right?
I say, okay, I'm tired of the distributing. I want to have a restaurant now because that's what I want. I saw that one day that they closing, and then I said, no, I want that location. I want to go there. So I don't know how did I get a nerve to do that, but I did. It was really well received according to my feedback from people when I moved out to the restaurant. And I thought that, okay, I can do both. I just do a little bit of storefront and then I still keep my wholesale, but it didn't happen that way because it was so busy.
My mom opened the Gold Phoenix Asian Foods restaurant in 2007, and I remember it being a huge whirlwind of a time. I was in middle school, and my brother was in high school, and my dad was also starting his own big career shift as well, so there was a lot of change going on simultaneously. I remember my mom designing every square inch of that restaurant, from the kitchen layout, the paint colors, the chairs, the stained glass windows, blinds, everything. My mom opened up to us about the incredibly difficult decision she had to make when selling the restaurant only a short couple years after opening.
It's not because it's not successful, it was because it's just way too much for me to handle. I sold it to a good friend of mine, and of course, so now here that the Maple Noodle House people.
The retail unit is still a Chinese Vietnamese restaurant in the Valley, now called Maple Noodle House. One of the great things about having started the restaurant is that throughout the years, each owner and operator has been another family of refugees or immigrants. So even knowing that she was able to start that space to house future opportunities for other families is really wonderful.
I think for me is the support and also the lack of skill in business. I remember that when I make a decision to sell it, it was a really hard decision for me.
Yeah, because it was a
hard
dream
because
for a while.
I know it's good, but because my calling is always family first. So then I decided, okay, I retreat to the home base again instead of have the retail. To be honest, I still love the interacting of a restaurant or be in front of people.
As I grow older, I'm able to reflect back on and understand more fully what my mom was going through at that time. I've always known that she has a deep passion for food and our culture and sharing that with others. Over the past decade, seeing her wrestle with finding a manageable path where she could continue doing what she loves has been really eye-opening because I started to realize that perhaps I could be in a position to help her. This is where teaching cooking classes and starting an online platform for her business came into light. Over the past couple of years, she's been slowly shifting her experience into teaching classes and curating an authentic experience in space where people can come together to learn, have hands-on experience, and appreciate the joy of cooking Chinese Vietnamese food. And it has been amazing to be able to help her in this process.
So then for a person to become more successful, to bring this further up, I think you need skill. You need the right skill, and which I think come right down to now that my daughter came home this 2 year. I have to say that she has been tremendously support to me.
With like the marketing
and everything. And even though my goal have changed because life go on, I still find that right now, this moment, that I have the experience and the wisdom of the food to pass on. I want to teach. And with her help, I can be exposed, In those days, I'm a secretary, I'm a cook, I'm advertising, I'm the boss,
and
I'm everything. And nowadays, because the business strategy is so much different now.
Because back then, you probably doing the legwork would get you in the door, and now there's so many like online and
right. Now you're driving the legwork and all the gas. You'll be dead until before they push the button and go on Facebook and already sold, right?
My mom chatted with us about why she loves teaching and her thoughts on food as an amazing way to connect and bridge cultural differences.
Food is a survival in the olden day, right? So nowadays, if they take the time to cook a plate of food, it just brings people together in harmony no matter what kind of culture you are. I just love that idea. For an immigrant like my mom and dad come to a country, they have that food skill, that food to share.
Yeah.
That is their survival. That is the key to my dad and mom to build our family, to able to sustain and to give to the community or share with the community. In my circle of food, business, you speak the same language. If you're talking about food and teaching, I think no matter where you learn from, your grandma's kitchen, grandpa's kitchen, or somewhere in your house, in your childhood, food have a good vibe, bring culture together, I think. I still think that we need something authentic for people to enjoy here and experience, of food. So we talk a little bit history, and then we also included a classic ingredient that is key in how to get the ingredient and how to select the ingredients. Also the hand-on skill. People come out of the class that they say that they find it really valuable, that you cannot learn it from somewhere else. Or, of course, YouTube is great, but
it's not the same.
Come to the real class, yes. And we teach some few words that people need to say in a class, so we incorporate that. That was really fun. Language. Yeah, people really love that, eh? And it's not that I have to have people, okay, you have to eat this authentically. I want them to have the basic skill. Then when they get creative, because I always love creativity. You creative, you can add more thing to it. And when you cook for your family or other people, you cater to their liking. Then that is you truly cooking for them. I think that when I teach is that you get the basic, and then you start being creative. Because we live in a world with fusion food. I love that too. And then, but you have the knowledge of, authenticity. But then I add my own, and that's how happiness come in, I think.
And finally, she shared with us some thoughts and feelings about being in the Valley all these years, and if she has any advice for other newcomers looking to pursue their businesses.
So since I moved here, I saw the Comox Valley really changing
Yeah.
tremendously. And I see a lot of different culture here, like so many. 20 years ago here, you don't see that a lot. Like my children was the only Chinese kid in the whole school.
That would have been hard.
The whole school. But you know what? I find it so welcoming. I didn't feel that I was different. And maybe because I am very fortunate that I have neighbors and friends that is so good to me, and they just love us so much. Like even my babysitter for my children and my friends, all the mom. And that actually, they really encourage me to do what I do, because when every time, let's say, I make them a dish or show them something, they just love it. They are so interested. So I think the challenge is about business challenge. I feel that how to run a business is a challenge, a skill that you need to learn. And you need to get help. If you're a new immigrant, if you don't know, then you need to reach out for help about this. You don't have this passion as a newcomer. Yeah, please explore that. I strongly recommend. It's a very hard job. We need a team.
Definitely.
And there we have it, my mom's entrepreneur journey thus far. If you'd like to check out any of our cooking classes or the website, head over to goldphoenixasianfoods.com or on Instagram and Facebook at goldphoenixasianfoods. I hope that listening to my mom's story has helped to reiterate the importance of perseverance and both asking for and accepting help. Also, the inevitability of the ups, downs, and unpredictable turns that come with pursuing your own passions and projects. The other thing is that if you're like me, a child of an immigrant or refugee, maybe there's some food for thought here in terms of realizing that many of us are entering a stage in our lives where we have educations, skills, and knowledge that we can use to help our parents and older generations. I would also love to hear your thoughts on this topic, so reach out to me through the website or email me at holly@holdingheritage.com. I would love to chat with you about it. And again, a big thank you to both the Comox Valley Record and Immigrant Welcome Center for partnering with me for this Newcomer Entrepreneur series of interviews. If you're local to the Comox Valley, be sure to pick up a copy of the Record newspaper to read the featured article as well as the other ones to come. You can also check them out online. And of course, head to holdingheritage.com to see today's episode show notes. Make sure to tune in again next week for another entrepreneurial interview featured in this series. As always, I'll meet you guys back here very, very soon. Bye! Intro and outro music by Blue Wednesday. Be sure to check him out. He's amazing. And as always, Holding Heritage is proudly created, produced, and geographically based on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of the Tsleil-Waututh and Comox nations of the Coast Salish peoples.